Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Ever, or the Best Advice Ever channel, where the best advice is no advice. But we might get some wisdom here, okay? So, for years, since before I left the Navy, I have gone down this rabbit hole of things, politics and history and where we're going. And it's scary. It's very, very scary. I say this because each presidency, the president will come in and will be allotted more power, right? Congress comes in. You listen to a thing. I saw a congressional meeting about light bulbs. Light bulbs. They both canceled each other out, so they were not effective. Republican and Democrat. All right? There's so much information out there that tells you a lot of different things. You have to rely on your discernment, not your feelings. Okay? Not your feelings. Your feelings can be seduced. All right? Anyone can tell you what you want to know, what you want to hear. You want people to be poor and you not be poor? Great. You want people to be poor with you? Great. Someone's going to tell you that. You want someone to pay and have revenge? They're going to tell you that too. Their actions, however, are going to be this: whatever benefits them. Whatever keeps them from paying the Pied Piper for their decisions. Okay? What benefits them? We, the people, do not benefit politicians. And the politicians should be serving the public. That's what should be happening, but that's not what's happening. The politicians and the corporations and the businesses of those said corporations have it so that it's back in the day when we were under the crown. The people serve the crown. The people are the slaves. Whether you want to call them a slave or not, I mean someone who says that you owe them your body, you owe them your money, you owe them your time. You owe them your paycheck and you owe them your children. Right? You owe them your children. If that is not enslavement, then I'm gonna ask someone to look up the definition of being a slave. Okay? When I was in the Navy, I was considered government property. That is another form of enslavement. With a bonus, hey, we just need to tell you what to do. You need to follow directions, and then we'll give you a paycheck. We'll give you, what do you call it? Health care. We'll give you a roof over your head. We'll feed you. All we want in return is your body, your mind, your family, right? We want all these things, and you're going to get this in return. So it is an enslavement bargain, right? Because if you damage your body, you can be brought up to court-martial or brought up to a captain's mast or whatever that is, based on how bad the damage is. You get drunk, you get into a car accident, and you break some bones, and you can't come to work. Once you're healed up and everything's done, because they'll pay for your medical and all those things, and then when you come back, you have some answering to do. You have damaged government property. You go out and you get a 3rd-degree sunburn, or you have to be hospitalized, or you have to take time off of work, SIQ, right? Sick in quarters. That is, you can be brought up on charges, and people have been brought up on charges of damaging government property. So when I say that I have experienced the enslavement, I know what I'm talking about. It's not what is portrayed in the movies. Okay? When you have nowhere to go and you are solely dependent on one entity for your entire livelihood, if you have a family, your family is dependent on the livelihood that you bring in by being a slave to this government. Now, a willing slave. Let's not get that twisted. We all signed that contract. Even if we were seduced by the recruiter, right? Because recruiters are like little politicians. They get beanies for promotions. They get awards. Okay? They get a little gold star on their eval for recruiting a certain amount of people, right? They have a quota. And their job is to seduce you into coming into the military, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, what was it? The Coast Guard, all that. Their job is to seduce people to come into their branch. And they will promise you the moon, stars, and above, because they know once you get in boot camp, that's it, bro. That is it. Once you get in boot camp, all bets are off. Unless you had something in writing, unless you had something in your contract, there's no way out of it. Well, there's ways, but they're not good ways, okay? The government holds on to their investment. So, that being said, each presidency takes away from the Constitution. Each congressman votes on taking away from the Constitution. And each justice of the Supreme Court rules on taking away from the Constitution. When I was sworn in, when they were all sworn in, government employees, we are sworn to defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, especially domestic enemies. So everyone who takes away from the Constitution, and no one says, hey, look, that's unlawful, we're not recognizing that, because it could all be snapped. We do not recognize what has just happened. We do not recognize all of these other things. We're going to go back to a democracy. The president will be in its checks and balances as it should. The Supreme Court will be back in their checks and balances as they should be. And the Congress will be in their checks and balances as they should be. There should not be just two parties in a democracy, because that's what a dictatorship does. Dictators love to have a two-party democracy, because that's not democratic. When you control the left and the right, and you go straight down the middle. Go look at China. Go look at Iran. Go look at Italy. Go look at all these different countries out there. Okay? Go look at their history. Go look at Germany now. Go look at Germany World War I, World War II, and go look at Germany before then. And then go look at Germany before they won their independence. Before that. Okay? Go look at those histories. Do your homework. Educate yourself. Because what you're going to see is going to scare the shit out of you. Project 2025. The information is out there, because it's not just for Republican parties. It's also for Democratic parties. Okay? Let that sink in for a moment. Republican and Democratic parties. The damage is done. It's out there. They're telling you what's going to happen. The Handmaid's Tale was based on history, current and past history. They're telling you what is to come, what will be done. So, go let your voice be heard. Let Congress know. Let your officials know. Okay? Because Donald Trump is a distraction and he is picking it away. He's getting everything prepped for whoever comes into office. Because right now, Kamala can come in and can say, everyone who opposed the Democrats, we're just going to shoot you. We're going to remove you, right? Donald Trump can do the same thing with Democrats and has said, we'll do this. Loyalists. Sorry, bro, I'm not going to drink your Kool-Aid. And anyone out there who drinks the Kool-Aid, you are responsible for your choice. Not Donald. Donald's not responsible for your choice of what you do. He's shown that he will not be responsible for the choices of others, right? Because the psychological warfare on your own people, that's been going on for centuries. Sun Tzu, Art of War, guess what? Read that for a moment. How do you get the people to come in and go to war? You give them an enemy, real or imagined. You give them an enemy. Tipping points. You give them an enemy. When you have an enemy that you control, that's the best enemy. Because you can take all the liberties you want and you can say, you're constantly at war, but not really at war. You know, there's nuances. So, you can be awake and you can have knowledge of the things. But if you keep getting distracted, your country is going to be just like China, just like Russia, just like Nazi Germany. Okay? Anyone who thinks this is impossible, you might want to go back and say, hey, the Titanic wasn't supposed to sink, and yet it did. The Twin Towers were supposed to have 2, not 1, but 2 Boeing 57s into different portions of those buildings, and they would still be sound to not fall. Demolitions on the ground. Go watch a demolition documentary. Okay, go watch a documentary on demolition. And then go back and watch those videos of the Twin Towers being demolitioned. Not a conspiracy, not a theory, it is a fact. Absolutely 100% a fact. All you have to do is watch it and educate yourself. Again, if I wanted to come in and be a terrorist and do all the things, guess what? I wouldn't do it at 9 o'clock in the morning when there's just a bare minimum of people there. I wouldn't have a plane attack a Pentagon at the part where it's being construction. If you're going to be a terrorist and you want to make a point and you want to do damage, you go to where the people are. And the White House just had, acceptable damage of clean crew and a skeleton staff, people that they're willing to let go. Not the president, not the vice president, not members of the cabinet or Congress or anyone else. Nothing that would cripple a government, right? Right. Think about that for a minute. Think about that long and hard. And then you make your decision on how you want to tell your country, how you want to tell your officials to take back democracy. You don't need to change parties. You don't need to do all things. You need to let them know that you have had it and you are enough. Marching doesn't work. Okay? Marching things don't work. But what you can do is you can give a visit. You can flood the people with emails. You can flood them with phone calls. Also write letters as well. Because for now, they have to keep documentation of everyone who comes to visit, everyone who comes in and does things. Okay? Go let your voice be heard. Go on social media. Let your voice be heard. Be peaceful about it, but be convicted. Be passionate about it. If your boss is coming in and overworking you, let them know. This is not right. Use your human resources. And if that doesn't work, let them know that you're going to get a lawyer. Okay? Let them know that you're going to get a lawyer and say, hey, look, I think this is not right, but don't accept it. Because when you just accept it, you've allowed yourself to be a slave. They're going to say, yeah, but did you allow it? Did you say anything? If you let yourself get beat down, they win. The corporations win. Okay? The people treating you like you're there to do the slave work, they win. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to watch us, but I've made my peace. I've said things about this throughout the years. So you can't say that you didn't know. I mean, people said, well, Germans didn't know what was going on, but they did. The journalists were telling the German people they were being taken over. Their government was being chipped away. When you subvert law, that is the last tipping point. When you just ignore the rule of law and do what you want anyway. You don't go through Congress, you just do it. And the military is sworn to uphold the Constitution, not be the private army of the president. The president is a commander-in-chief, but the president doesn't call war. The president doesn't direct the military to go places, or to go to people's homes, or to call martial law. That is Congress. That is the president's checks and balance. The president can sign off on it, or they can say no. That is the checks and balance to Congress. They have to be on the same page, or it doesn't work. That is how your democracy works. You have to know the will of the people, not just go do what you want to. And if the United States military and any branch comes in and becomes the private enforcer for the President of the United States, which would then become a dictator, and they agree to it, they are committing treason against the people. They are now a domestic enemy of the Constitution and of the people. If you don't defend the Constitution, then you are an enemy of the Constitution. And everyone answers in the end. If you think your family is immune, they're not. Poor, middle, wealthy. Everyone pays the Pied Piper in the end. Sometimes it's sooner, sometimes it's later. So you decide what path you want to go on. You can say nothing. That's a choice. And it's okay. There's no judgment. You want to support the tyranny? Then call it tyranny. Call it what it is, because it's not democracy. You want to support the enslavement of everyone? Then support it. Be vocal about it. But don't call it democracy. I'm not the only one who said this. And maybe a few more people should be out there saying this as well. To be peaceful, but let your voice be heard. Now, hopefully there's a bit of wisdom in here. You go forth and you live your best life as the best way you can. Peace out, bros.